Hey guys, Casey Ferris. Thank you for checking out another video of mine here on YouTube. Today we are talking about using LUTs on multiple shots. I guess this is something that I've never really explained, never really done a video on, and I just don't know how that happened, because this is important. So we're going to review a couple basics for using LUTs, as well as look at how to use the same LUT to stylize an entire project. Here I have a couple different shots from a wedding video that I recently graded. And we have two shots that are shot on the DJI Spark and two shots from a Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera. The footage from each of these cameras looks very different because the Spark doesn't really have a flat profile and BMD film is one of the flattest ones around. So how in the world do we match these together so that they don't look so different and also give them a common style? Let's take a look. First of all, I'm going to start with the BMD film footage, and I'm in Resolve, but this workflow will work for any type of app that you're using that loads LUTs and does color. I'm going to hit Alt-S, and this node is going to be my LUT. I'm going to right click, go to 3D LUT, and I'm going to start with a LUT from our Vengeance 2 pack called BMD Film 2 Rec 709, and that's going to give me a good starting point for my grade. And now in this first node, I'm going to make some tweaks to my image. I'll bring up my scopes here, and this is definitely looking dark, so I'm going to push up my lift a little bit, push up my gamma a little bit, and there we're looking much better. So in not much time at all, we have a pretty decent grade for this shot. And now if I go back to my clips, I can move to my third clip and select it and middle click on my second clip, and that will grade these. And they're already looking a lot closer than they were just from making the corrections in the BMD film footage. But now let's say I want to add a specific look over this whole thing. There's a bunch of different ways I can do this, but the overall idea is I want to put the same style after any corrections that I make on all of these shots. And I can do this with a LUT, or I can do it with a custom look. So just for clarity, let's say I make a new node and I'll call this look, and it's a very cool, just horrible looking thing. All right. This is just so it's easy to see. Okay. I could take this same node and add it to the end of my node tree on each of these shots. And from start to finish, I have this blue style over the whole thing. I could add that to individual shots if I wanted to, or I could group these all together by selecting them all, right clicking and saying add into new group, and going up here to where it says clip and going to group post clip, because essentially what this does is puts a set of corrections after the clip corrections for each of these clips. So anything in the group will get this same horrendous looking blue look. So if you want everything to look the worst, that's a quick way to do it. So I'm going to remove all of these from that group just so we can go back to individual shots. So that's the general idea. But what I'm going to use for this project is a LUT from Ground Control. If you go to groundcontrolcolor.com, scroll down to Vengeance 2. These are LUTs that are designed for footage shot on Blackmagic cameras. Works great with BMD film as well as BMD film 4K. So if you shoot Blackmagic, definitely check this out. And what I can do is right click on this LUT node and go to 3D LUT, and under Vengeance 2, I can pick stylistic LUTs that are designed for BMD film. So pick something that has some obvious style to it, like Duke. And the nice thing is, for any of these shots that are shot on BMD film, I can use that same LUT to add that style. But the problem is, if I add this same LUT to my drone footage, it comes out crazy world, because this was designed for footage that looks all flat like this. So how do we add a common style across the whole project? Well, an easy way to do that is use a 709 version of this same LUT. Any LUT that you buy from Ground Control will have the stylistic LUT that's designed for this log footage, and that's labeled. See, these are Vengeance 2 BMD film, but there's also a version for 709. If I go here and pick Duke 709, then it gives a common style without adding that extra contrast and saturation that it adds to the flat footage. So now I can copy that style in between my grades, and I have a common look for my whole project. So if you're mixing a bunch of different kinds of cameras, you can use the LUT version that it was designed for on this camera and use a 709 version for a less flat profile. If you wanted to, you could also just put a transform LUT on the Blackmagic footage and leave the drone footage as is, group them together and add a 709 LUT over the whole thing. And that gives you pretty much the same result. It just kind of depends on how you like to work. So I hope that makes sense. That's a general overview of how to grade a whole project with the same stylistic look. This idea works the same in just about any piece of software. You can do corrections to your clips in Premiere and then put an adjustment layer over it with a common style, but that's the idea. You can use a LUT that's designed for the camera, or you can add a 709 LUT to a corrected image. I also wanted to let you know, in case you don't, that if you go to groundcontrolcolor.com/support, here we have the ultimate LUT guide. This is a big, long blog post, basically, of all sorts of nerdery about LUTs. And it's common questions that we get all the time. And so if you're confused about how LUTs work or how to use them, this will hopefully give you some wisdom there. Anyway, that about does it for me. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. If you like this, hit like. And for more post-production, color grading, all kinds of tutorials of that nature, make sure to subscribe here to my channel on YouTube. My name again is Casey Ferris. I'll catch you next time.